This is FanSpeak, a weekly live show where the fans of comics and its community are our guests. Hello, everybody, and here we go. FanSpeak, of course, our weekly show, our very first show, and we are here today with a very interesting guest that I've been wanting to have on for quite a while, and we finally got him on here today, and we'll get to that right momentarily, of course. But keep in mind, we do have all our links down below to our FanSpeak page on Facebook. We'd love for you guys to go over and be part of that, and of course, we know many of you are, and we really appreciate the support and all the comments and the reviews and all the stuff that everybody is doing there. One of the things I do love about the FanSpeak page is that we don't really limit people. A lot of these groups will limit if you're not talking about this topic or you're not talking about that, you're not allowed to post, and they'll cut your stuff off. And we don't do that. We want you to talk about anything and everything that has to do with comic books, and you guys are doing that. So thank you very, very much. It is awesome. Also, keep in mind that I have links down below to my Facebook and Twitter, and you can contact me to be on this show here. And of course, this is FanSpeak. We want to hear what you have to say as well. But also, if you want to be on the Drawn Recorded Fan Edition, you can contact me and get on that show via that way. And we did have a great show yesterday, actually, for our Fan Edition. We tried to do something different. They did Cecil on the Pro Edition, which I thought was odd, but okay. But yesterday we actually were on having Nasser was hosting the show, so we decided to do one of his characters. But then again, one person who actually did Nasser is the one and one, and of course that was Brad. So congratulations to Brad and from Pensive for Life, and he's going to be over on the Pro Edition next week on Mike Miller's Blacklist Universe Pro Edition of his Drawn Recorder, which is a really cool show. Definitely go check that out and support that, guys. And thank you for all the support you guys give us as well. Now, we're going to get into various things today, but of course, first thing we do is go talk to our guests. So let me first come over and say hello to George, though. How you doing, George?
Greetings, all. How are you? I'm doing well. I am busy listening to everything that you are saying.
I'm glad you're busy listening. That's really good, George. Yeah. I'm sitting here, of course. My wife is getting ready to leave. She's going to go pick up my daughter. She's coming back for a little bit of the spring break, I guess. And they're going to go and they're going to have themselves a nice little lunch at the My Melody Cafe. Oh, so she's laughing. It's my daughter when she was growing up. I don't know if you guys know Hello Kitty. You ever heard of Hello Kitty?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. My daughter actually liked the My Melody Rabbit character most, and she's always been kind of the My Melody person. So I guess they have a new cafe up there that is My Melody themed. So they're gonna go have fun with that. I thought it was interesting. She said, "You want to go?" I was like, "No, no, that's okay. You enjoy yourself." But No, I don't need no My Melody Cafe, baby. You go have fun. Anyway, thanks for joining us, George. And of course, I'm just going to say hello real quick to John. Hey, John.
I just want to say that Thundaro is the greatest moderator of all time on YouTube. And that's it. That's all I've got to say. So have a good night.
There you go. Thank you, John. Glad you came. We'll talk to you in the future, I'm sure. But yes, Thundara is awesome. We do love having him over here. Of course, he's a FanSpeak member from nearly the beginning, I think. But he said he'll be in there ASAP, and he's making dinner for my sick wife. Oh, what a nice husband, taking care of his wife. And
that's why I saw that too. That's why I was like, I better call that guy out and just say some nice things for him.
Oh yeah. Well, he and I, many of the dudes over here are married and happily so, actually. And that's a happy wife, happy life, man, for sure. And I see you got a little munchkin sitting there in your icon, so you got yourself a family as well, yeah.
Yeah, I got 2 kids, and
sweet.
My wife's watching them right now for me, so I can do this.
Awesome. Yeah, no, mine are older. They're both in university. Well, actually, my daughter's graduated and actually in the workforce. My son's still in university, but he's on one of those really long programs for the engineering thing. So Daddy has many more years of expense out of pocket, but oh well. But this is something you'll have to deal with, both you and DeWolf, when your kids get older. You got to have a lot of money going out, because you know how people say, "Oh, kids are expensive. I gotta wait. I gotta wait." No, you don't. babies are cheap, man. The kids don't start costing you money until they get around junior high age, actually, and it's not until college that it becomes actual cash. But yeah, kids are great.
So you're saying I'm about to go more broke?
Yes, you're gonna go very much more
Oh,
broke, dude. Yeah, it is extremely true. I mean, because for a while there, we were handling not only tuitions and books and all those kind of things you have to do, but also handling rent and power and I mean all the expenses to keep them alive, plus pocket money every month so they can go and eat. Right? I mean, all that. Two kids at the same time. Enjoy that. But I have got a little bit of relief because my daughter is now working on her own. But oof, yeah. And George here is a bit older than we are, so I think George understands me a little better. Huh, George?
Um, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's it. I'm
Oh,
hip.
okay.
I'm hip.
George is not understanding at all. Fine, fine. I'm alone.
I don't know
Anyway.
anything about it. My youngest is in university.
Yeah, of course you know all about it, dude. I was joking. But let me go over the chat real quick. We got Roger Heller in here. Awesome. We have ERTs in here. Valenid John of the Rice. Is that one of your friends, John? We
that's
have
me.
Oh, that's
That
you.
is literally me.
I see.
Yeah.
Literally you. We got Spencer Tunes. Hey, what's up, Spencer Tunes? And we have Joshua, the world's greatest troll, is in here. Awesome. We got Gigadeath. Hey, man, Gigadeath Hughes in here. And yeah, thank you guys very much. And keep in mind that we really appreciate the subs and the likes stuff because they do help. But actually, the biggest thing that helps us is hitting that share button and let everybody know what we're doing. Yeah, and get them over here. But anyway, that's enough talking and rambling from me about kids and universities and monies and such. And it's time for the chairman's address. So, Chairman, are you ready?
Of course I'm ready. What do you think this is? It's FanSpeak, of course. And with FanSpeak, we get to talk about things. And one thing I want to talk about is drama. All this week, I've heard about drama. And more importantly, people say there's too much drama and they want less drama. Oftentimes you see people out in the world and they talk about drama everywhere they're at, in their relationships or at work, here and there. And usually it's the opposite with various other people. They talk about how nice their day is and how things are going well and pleasant. It all comes down to you. How do you perceive life around you? Do you want drama in your life, or do you want to have a life that is full of more positive things? Oftentimes we see those people and they will talk about how they go from one problem to the next. So oftentimes in relationships, right? You will talk about a young lady may talk about how that she goes from one boyfriend to the next boyfriend, and each boyfriend has a problem and she just can't figure out what the issue is. And then there's work. These individuals, they go to work and they'll have one issue at work and they'll get fired from another. They go from job to job. There always seems to be more things in this person's life that is causing problems. It may not be all those people around them. The old adage that if you keep having the same problem in your life, it may not be others, it may be you. And that applies to the independent comics movement, also Comicsgate, because with there, you have the individuals, you've got friends around them, larger groups, all the way out to the whole Comicsgate independent bubble that we know of what it is. And in that regard, each one of these areas in which there may be drama, it may not be actually there other than you and your group, unfortunately. But what can we take away from this? Obviously, I said, take the positive route out. Look to yourself and look to your local group. Try to remove the drama from it. Always we see throughout the various religions, we talk about bettering yourself. And so that's what I charge everyone here and throughout Comicsgate to start doing, is bettering yourself, working on yourself. You start removing those problems from yourself and those around you, you will find out you have less drama. Now that's just what I'm saying. What are the rest of the fans saying? Welcome to FanSpeak.
Sweet. Very good. And I agree 100%, Chairman. There are way too many pussies in the world. And ding, ding, I can get away with that because Denali's not here to yell at me. But it's absolutely true. Right?
Chester, don't be saying that.
I'll yell at you.
yell at me, fine. I don't care. It's the truth, dude. But nevertheless, thank you very much, DeWolf. That's it's always good to have your address on our FanSpeak show. And I see we have more people in here. Nick is in here as well. And oh wow, I just love this name. My name, of course, is Chester Cornelius Busby III. No joke. I know it's cartoonish, but it's real. But here joining us today, we have a Rumble Terrier. I mean, dude, that is one of the coolest names ever. I don't know why, but I love that name. Every time I see it, Rumble Terrier, it's just so cool. you know, am I alone in that? Do you guys not love
No,
it?
no.
That's a really cool name, dude. Yeah.
I don't know how to take.
No, anyway, we did have a couple more people jump in here real quick before we go over and get into talking to John here. We, of course, have Thundero, the mighty wrench, the mighty Lord and God of lightning, who also holds oiled things. How you doing, dude?
Why do I keep being given oiled things? I want nothing to do with oiled things because I know what you mean by oiled things, and I don't want them.
Oil does not transmit electricity like water does. Thundero.
It's true. Yeah.
Hey,
they give me watery things. Wonderful. How are you guys?
If you prefer, I could say you are the holder of golden balls. Would you prefer that?
Oh, there we go.
Chester Busby.
What? It could have been any kind of golden ball. You're assuming, dirty mind.
Most certainly can.
Yeah. Well, actually, that's more of an inside Japanese joke, which no one else here is going to get. But I thought it was funny. My wife is chuckling for sure.
Terrible.
I know. Nick W says Chester Cornelius Busby III, aka Buster. Yeah, that's a lot easier. Let's go with that. And of course, we're also joined by the creator of Handyman himself and the person who has the YouTube that is called Pencil for Life, which I love going on Wednesday, New Comics Day. How you doing, Brad?
Yep. Doing good, buddy.
Yeah, you're still displaying that absolutely mind.
Oh, dude, it's up for auction tonight.
Goodness gracious. That's all.
Come on, who doesn't want sexy Nasser? Come on.
I'm still telling you, dude. You should have had nips and pubes.
No,
it's another level. It goes to another level. You got to listen to me, dude.
I got to put eye drops in. I need to put eye drops. I found good eye drops.
Really bad, dude.
I've got the best eye drops for this moment. I think is India ink.
Did I agree to come on a porn channel? What's going on here?
I think you did, dude. I do apologize, John.
Sorry, I came in from behind, John.
Brad.
Ooh.
How soon can you sell off that thing so we don't have to see it anymore?
Well, so this morning I had an offer of at least 300 for it. So
wow, dude, awesome.
We'll see how much it goes for.
That's awesome. Yeah, we're a bit. I'm a bit spicy today. I don't know why. I do know why. But anyway, we just had another panelist come in here. I want to introduce. Of course, we have the creator of Ignition, as well as the artist on the what is that called? The Graveyard Shift 2, right? And of course, he's also one of the creators and artists on the Tales from Beyond the Gate. That we also have joining us, Todd Mulrooney. How you doing, man?
Hey, how are you?
I'm awesome, dude. I'm having fun. It seems I'm being chastised for my choice of words today, but what's new?
I just want to say hi to John. We've talked a little bit through DM, but I just want to welcome him to FanSpeak.
Yeah, Todd, you rock. I'm glad to meet you.
Thanks.
All right. Well, enough of the introductions already. So we're going to get right into it now. Welcome, John. We have ourselves a very interesting program, I think, lined up. But what we're going to do, John, is we're going to start out with talking about your book, which is why you're here. Now, I know personally, I bought the first Flying Sparks, and like I mentioned to you, I read it on an airplane going to Tokyo, and I enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens to him. So why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about the second book, dude?
Yeah, so book one, I set up all the characters in the first issues. I break it down, and I like to tell everybody that I don't do single issues really because I just feel like that model doesn't really work so much anymore. So I actually stole the manga model, basically, where there's like 3 chapters in a book, and I for most of them, right? And I just put 3 issues as the 3 chapters and did it that way. So I did that with the first volume. The first issue really set everybody up. The second issue really started dialing up the main plot quite a bit, and we got our main heroine. She got her ass kicked pretty good. So
she did. She did.
Yeah. And then I mean, I figured. I just tangent about all this stuff, but
I gotta say something about your chapter idea, because I actually got the book and I set it down and I went about the rest of the day that I had going on, and then later on in the evening I picked it up and I started reading through, and I came to that area where it was the chapter 2 section, and I actually set it down. I'm like, okay, it's late and work's tomorrow, and I set it down, and then the next day I got like to the next chapter, and kids are running around and stuff, and I peeked forward. I'm like, I've only got 2 more pages, and then there's that next chapter, so I'm gonna read through those and then go about go make dinner, because like once again kids were yelling, so they were hungry. They get that way, they're expensive. So and so I did. I read over a few more pages, got to the end of that chapter, and thought, hey, that's pretty cool, and then of course I finished it later. And so I thought it was very, very interesting. It was a neat way to read through the book.
Good. Yeah. I'm glad that worked out for you. That makes me happy. So yeah, that, where did I, I'll talk about the character and the reason I chose to have my main superhero get her ass kicked very badly in the second issue right away. Usually you don't get that sort of thing till later after you've established the superhero for a while, but I'm kind of changing the way the archetype's done, and I'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, chapter 3 then really progressed the main plot, and you start to see something cool going on. And I left a nasty cliffhanger at the end of the 3rd chapter there.
Yeah.
So book 4 picks up right there. So you'll be able to resolve the cliffhanger. It'll go right into another chapter. Each issue, each chapter, each issue really has its own standalone story to it, just like the old books, like you read in the 70s or 80s or 90s. But they're compounding into a bigger arc, and so I like that style better than the way that a lot of graphic novels are formatted now, because I just think it packs a little better punch story wise for readers. And so we have basically 3 stories again that are slowly building that main plot, and the complication between the characters is escalating as it goes. Now all the exposition's gone at this point, so it's just it's pretty breakneck action through volume 2. I dial everything up to 11. For those who are completely new to it, Flying Sparks was described to me, I didn't come up with this pitch, as Mr. and Mrs. Smith, only superheroes. And I think that works pretty well. They haven't directly confronted each other yet. So I would say it's a spot where they are living their secret lives, but they haven't found it out yet. So, and that's the tension. That's the tension in the book right now.
That was interesting. Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm keeping that tension going for as long as I possibly can, drawing it out, of course. And eventually you guys know what's going to happen, kind of. But you don't know what's going to happen when they meet. But eventually their paths will cross, and that's going to be the big climax probably of this main arc. So
I see.
Yeah.
Well, you've actually already made some money, dude. Dennis Brock has backed your book. Thank you, Dennis.
Hey, thank you. That's awesome. Appreciate it, Dennis.
Awesome. Yeah. And
So-
definitely, guys, go check this out. Of course, you see Josh is putting up links and stuff. So go check that out. Make sure. Yeah, I see he put it up there. And I see they mentioned that is this on Kickstarter? Yes, it is on Kickstarter. And one thing that's going on right now that I think is very good, and I've actually kind of pushed for quite a while now, is Indiegogo is all well and good. It is cheaper for the creators to use. They're pretty open to letting you do pretty much what you want to do, so the freedom aspect. But the idea that it's only Indiegogo is the only way you can go, you can't go Kickstarter, is kind of silly, right? And expanding into Kickstarter, having many of the communities, including things like what Pixel Trader is doing and such, I think is a really good idea. So
Yeah.
I'm completely happy with it.
Kickstarter crowdfunding has been going on for a long time, and I actually, before I came on here, I was watching a crowdfund stream with Brian Pulido, who's been doing the Lady Death books over there, making hundreds of thousands of dollars on those every single time for years. And so Kickstarter's actually got a much bigger community of people who just like look for comics and back comics. And it's you know, I mean, the people who know to find me are going to find me anyway, because you know they know where to find me. So I figure I want to reach as many new people as possible with this volume 2, Alfred.
Well, you know what's interesting about Kickstarter, actually, which I know I've mentioned before, but I'm actually coming more from the tabletop role-playing and board gaming world, right? You know, for well more than a decade, I've been involved with Kickstarter. I've backed literally hundreds of projects, and you know, I've been using the Kickstarter for a very long time. I never used Indiegogo. As a matter of fact, I remember when a couple of the you know, the main reviewers of board games, they would go and they'll have a Kickstarter to raise funds so they can spend a year actually doing that job instead of having to just do it as a hobby like we do here. They actually decided to switch over to Indiegogo because it was cheaper, right? Because Kickstarter is a little bit of a pain in the butt, and everyone kind of mutinied on them. So I literally seen the opposite of this go into effect. People were on Kickstarter not wanting to have anything to do with Indiegogo, and now I'm over here with Indiegogo seeing them. People want to have nothing to do with Kickstarter. It's really interesting, and I don't know why, because it's just a service in the end. Now I understand that the people on Kickstarter are extremely SJW. I get this, but you think
so are the people on Indiegogo?
Doesn't? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't think they are? Now the
difference, they're actually worse. Indiegogo actually deplatformed a right-wing comic that I am mildly involved with on after it already funded. So they waited till it closed and funded. Actually sent out an email to the backers saying that you know, that it's funded, it's going to be delivered, and sent out an email to the creators saying you're going to get your money, you know, within a few days. And then actually returned all the money, closed it just with no warning, no reason given, and they refused to give a reason to anybody who said anything. And we're actually involved in a class action lawsuit against them for fraud now and for breach of contract. So
yeah, we talked about that when it happened. I remember, you know, and of course Indiegogo is bad, and that was one of the arguments that the board gaming community was making about Indiegogo, was that they were too crazy liberal, right? Now we know Kickstarter has followed straight in line to be, and I think in the end they're going to be worse than Indiegogo, dude, actually, with what they're doing over there. But the funny thing for me is, you know, if you go to the Kickstarter front page, right? It's always some kind of feel good or some kind of you know, some kind of progressive politic thing that's displayed on the feature on the front page. Always, right?
Oh, yep.
But yet, where do they get their money from? How do they make money? Tabletop games. All their money, the vast majority of their money comes out of the tabletop world, dude. And they hardly ever mention it unless it's some kind of woke project that's going on. It's just outrageous to me. But that's who you're dealing with. That's what we're dealing with in the world today. So it is what it is. And yes, you're right, John. It was the Chuck Dixon book. Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah. Which, you know, poor Chuck. You know, guy. They just, I don't know what it is about Chuck, but they just can't stand him, dude. They really hate Chuck, and we love Chuck.
I love Chuck. Chuck is a great friend. He's been very helpful to me getting me going, and I appreciate everything he does. I mean, the guy is the original, you know, sort of cast out because of his politics in the industry, and he just keeps churning out good book after good book and just shows us the way. And that's who I want to be, basically, is Chuck.
Yeah, he's really good. And you know what you got to do, because of course I haven't really reached out because I don't want to bug him. But you need to say, you know, there's this little show called FanSpeak. It's really small, but they love you very, very much, and they'd love to talk to you. They'd love to talk to you.
I can make that happen for you, no problem.
Oh,
yeah,
John, I love you, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here comes a new bromance.
Oh, no. Hey, now, why do they use that word bromance? Why can't men just be friends? Huh? Brad.
Because it's more than friends at your rate. Come on.
Oh, right. That's probably true. It's probably true. I'll take that.
Just look at that Nasser picture, and then you have your answer.
There you go, buddy.
I want to put something in context. I want to very quickly put something into context. You know, we say we don't do drama. But there is this nice little name here that says Vox that's popped up in the chat, and people have their opinions. Here's the context. For the past, I don't know, going back 6 months or so, on the panel or anywhere, or heck, even in the chat, can you think of any drama that's been input into Comicsgate and the like that Vox has done? There's a lot of stuff going on in lots of different fields from a lot of different people, and someone has been absent.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So this guy's
we
been
haven't seen anything. Yeah.
So that's just my point there. I'm gonna lay that on the table, and we can get back to business.
Can I ask a question?
Just making his books and doing his things. I mean, he came out with 900 plus pages of comic books last year, while everybody's doing their drama. The dude just produced. So I mean, you know, it's somebody to admire on that level for sure.
Yeah. Now, can I ask a question? Because I'd really like to know. Because I remember when all that nonsense was going on, and we haven't heard anything out of Vox whatsoever in regards to nothing, just like Dewolf just said. But I got a question for you because you were at the center of that.
Sure.
What the hell was that all about, dude? Because I don't really know Vox Day per se, but I have seen him several times on Stefan Molyneux's show, Free Domain Radio, on YouTube, which I enjoy. It's a philosophy show. It's kind of cool. I get some people don't like him because he comes off kind of arrogant, because he is, but he's quite smart, and he puts up very interesting points. And I listened to Vox speak several times, and I thought, well, he's a very lucid, very intelligent fellow, and I don't get it. What's all this hate for Vox? Where's it coming from? Because I've never seen him say anything particularly controversial.
No, it was just a couple of YouTube shows. Kind of, there was actually a planned drama. And it was between Ethan and Vox, and they were going to start their own comic companies, and they wanted to get a Marvel DC rivalry going. Basically, you know, Vox's company would be rivals with Ethan's, but it'd be a friendly sort of thing. And they'd kind of ribbit each other's work and all that, because Vox takes a much more writer-centric aspect to things, and Ethan takes a much more art-centric aspect. You know, so you'd get that natural tension right there. And it was going to be fun, and they were going to build on it, and they were going to, you know, basically use it to just propel the campaigns. Now, eventually, the plan was going to be to do a book together, and that kind of went by the wayside. There was just, you know, they're two just like very strong-willed men, and they had a, you know, falling out for a little bit, and one person is on Twitter and on YouTube and can say something, and then Vox kind of is off doing his own thing, just producing. And so you just heard one thing after another, and I just kind of got caught in the crossfire of that. Now, since then, it's all been resolved. Both of them talk. Both of them are on good terms. Yeah. Ethan and I talk almost every day. We're on very good terms. So anything that's left over from that is just kind of nonsense that, you know, nobody who's actually producing at this point is involved in.
Yeah, I understand all that. We all know that. That's not really what my question was. Joshua Hughes says Chester living under a rock. Yeah, the rock is called Japan. But my question is different than that.
Pretty big rock.
What's people's problem with Vox? Is my question, not that whole
Chester,
thing.
We don't care.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, it just depends.
Can I step in now and say this? We don't care. Like I said before, Vox he's been completely.
I don't know.
He's been completely out of the conversation and the drama for so many months now. He is irrelevant. Instead, there's other things going on that people just need to look at, point the finger at, shame it, and make it go away.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. I think it's all related, is my point, dude. It's all related. It's the same type of hyper-emotional, hyper-reactive bullshit that we're seeing over and over again. That's my point, dude. Because
that's a good point.
That's what I'm trying.
What I found is between, honestly, the creators, the YouTubers, and the fans, everybody's very high strung, and nobody trusts each other, and everybody is ready to like look at a tweet, take something kind of wrong, and then just unload on the person and just like totally exacerbate anything at any moment. It's everything's a powder keg. You just got to be very careful all the time. And that sort of environment just makes everybody unhappy. And so we've gotten to that point, and it's been that way for a while. I don't know why it is, but I know that we gotta get back to things. And what I told some of the creators is like, look, we got to move. We got to change this from like we're internet friends Because when you're looking at text things, you tend to look at things a little differently. To like we're actually like a brotherhood of creators. And I told them, I'm like, look, and I've gone to people individually. I don't need to name names or anything like that, but I'm like, here's my phone number. If you think I'm out of line or something like that, pick up the phone and call me. And that solves things like almost every time. Because when we talk face to face, I'll be like, no, dude, I didn't mean that way or whatever, right? And that'll be the end of that. And I've urged everybody to do the same thing. The stuff kind of hitting this week, really, I'm not at the center at, thankfully. But
I've got something you are at the center at.
Yeah.
I'm going to butt right in and go with this because you're at the center of this. Yes. Well, you're at my next question. You're at the center of my next question, and sure. you have to explain to me something, right? And if I could, I don't know if you could have consulted with more people on this, it would have been a better thing. But what exactly happened when you were thinking of this guy named Metaman?
Oh goodness.
What is this character? I tell you what, I was reading through Flying Sparks, and I built that up more than what it needed to be. Metaman for
I was
me,
like, well, I was prepared to like just get grilled on something, and then you're like, what?
I'm reading through Flying Sparks, and I thought Flying Sparks, because you introduced her really cool, and I liked her character. The professor, he was he's a neat guy. He's being supportive and stuff. And then Metaman shows up, and I went, whoa, he's the what are they Sue, or it's whatever it is. It's Mary Sue, but for guys, right?
Yeah.
Marty Joe.
And I did not like him, and I did not like his interaction on the way he treated the girl's name. I'm sorry,
Chloe, Metagirl, whatever.
Yeah, I didn't like the way he interacted with her so much. And for me, Metaman, I don't know. And maybe it's also in the name. It seems like a soy-based name, or I don't know what it is. Metro.
You know what that was? That was a hint to Wolf that he's going to be the big villain in the end. So you're giving away spoilers, dude. What's wrong with you, man?
What?
Ooh, well, I'm not going to. Yeah, I'll not answer that. They say watch spoilers. I don't think there's spoilers being given away that badly here.
Okay.
But did you read the Metaman special? My follow up that I put on Amazon?
No, I've not read that yet.
All right, that drops a big hint as to sort of to some things. So,
do you know why? Yeah. I'll tell you why I didn't read the Metaman special. Because of the what I just said. I went, well, I didn't like his character yet. I wanted him to go away, and I wanted more of her and everything else that was going on, right? So I guess then I got the proper reaction.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. See, I didn't read it because
the reaction
rock. That's why I didn't read it.
That he shows up kind of and just pops in and out the way he does. I mean, the intention was to create a mystery around the character, and then you read it and then see it happen a couple times, and then the Metaman special doesn't like, you have to put 2 and 2 together. It's pretty blunt, but you have to put 2 and 2 together, and that was like my thing. I'm going to answer that on the side, and then in the big, I'd say climax of the big arc, there will be some more involvement there that for people who are kind of aware of it and paying attention.
So there's a bigger reason.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm more intrigued now. I'm more intrigued on this guy, because otherwise I didn't know his place. I didn't know his place in there, and I guess that was a part of the buildup of the story. Well, cool. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, I layer stuff. I come from novels, right? So I'm trying to layer stuff in and foreshadow stuff as it goes on, and I treat this a lot like a novel rather than it's a little bit of a different dynamic, I think.
He looked to me like what we expect Captain Marvel to be doing in Endgame, right? Showing up and Thanos wop and done. Well, and I went, I'm not, so.
But you saw the current controversy though, haven't you? The progressives are all upset because she's wearing makeup in the trailer.
Oh, she looks so good. I know.
And the funny thing is, I know exactly why they did that, why they put her in makeup that was so obvious it's makeup than they didn't do in the movie. It's because they want to try to make her look older, which, she already looks like a 40-year-old lady anyway.
She needs to look older.
Well, that's what they're trying to do, right? That's the purpose of putting her in makeup, is to make her look older, because it's later. right? But they're
Mature,
just
yeah.
lost their damn brain. But it's funny. I get it. That makes me chuckle all the time. But nevertheless, John, we do have a lot of other people in here, and we'd like to hear their
Oh,
opinions and
please.
voices, and I'm sure they got questions for you about your comics and books and such. So let's go over to Brad. Let's start with Brad. What you
Yo,
got
what's
any
up?
questions here for John, man?
Actually, I'm. When you were talking about controversy just a minute ago, being in the center of stuff sucks.
Sorry, Brad.
No, it's fine. But honestly, forgiveness. Try to move past things as much as possible. Be as polite as possible, and talk face to face. Talk over the phone. I've had so many calls this week because of what was going on. Between Doug, Mike Miller, EBS. Trying to work things out behind the scenes. What can we do? Stuff like that to try to stop this stuff. And everybody starts to understand the story and understand who I am. And because of the situation, because we actually talked. Talking one-on-one will help diffuse the situation more, than having a Twitter war.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't, what happened, on the 10th could have been stopped in under an hour if he would have responded to my email and we had an actual talk.
It's true.
But it didn't happen. Instead, all hell broke loose because I walked into a bomb, and honestly, talk it out, work it out, take the bigger man approach. Most people are generally good people. They just want to, live in their own world, live in their own bubble, But there are troublemakers out there too,
There
but
are.
Honestly.
But you are surrounded
Just
by
talk it
love
out.
here, brother. You know that.
Oh, I know
Yeah.
I am, dude. There's a lot of love everywhere. Honestly, a lot of people came out of the woodwork over this last week.
Yeah, it is
Hey,
really
hey,
cool.
Brad.
And John.
Brad, what is this? What is this you're working on over on the side of the corner of your screen here?
Yeah, you're disturbing people, just so you know,
What?
Brad.
Do you have another
Oh.
project and something else you're working on that you can slide over?
Handyman?
Something we can
Well,
look
actually,
at that
right now
isn't
I'm
that
doing.
atrocity. Okay. Oh, look.
I'm actually
hey.
drawing right now. That's the Sporkman cover.
Hey,
So-
speaking of that, Sporkman Studios in the
Yeah.
house. Love it. I'm always
Woo!
happy to have Sporkman
Hail,
here.
Sporkman.
Yeah, so we have
Yeah, they haven't even seen this
22.
yet.
I'm pretty sure. I
They haven't even
pronounced that
seen this yet. I'm actually working on it for them right now. So
correctly. That's cool, dude.
they had
Yeah.
no idea. Yeah.
Zebulon Pike is in here as well. We have an Edwin Boyette. Hello, sir. He said, I back the handyman. Good on
Yep.
you, dude. We
Yep,
got, who else we got in here? Definitely have conversations. People are certainly enjoying talking about the handyman, dude. And I'm really happy that it's kicking off for you, actually. Because it had an opposite effect, right? You've actually got a lot more attention now. So it worked out
Dude,
really well. I think.
way too much.
Too much. Man.
Too much of the wrong attention. But even John's helped me out. And talked to me. And, he was there when I needed to talk to him.
Put the
so.
Sporkman back up. What are you doing?
I'm working on the cover.
Yeah, no, we need to see something other than this atrocity that you have sitting in front of us, please.
Okay, Brad can't talk anymore.
No, Brad can't talk anymore. He's got
There
the mute.
you go. There you go.
Thank you. Much better.
God.
Much better.
I don't really know why Chester's complaining. I had it locked on his screen this whole time. I was absolutely fixated, entranced by that beauty that was that picture.
You want it. You want
Dude,
it.
I do.
I'm getting complaints from the chat. I'm just
It's
supporting
up
the
for
chat.
sale tonight on Ethan's stream. Let's make it the most bid on piece that ever happened, because it's Nasser.
Yes, and it needs to vanish as soon as it sells.
Yes, burn it with
Hey, if you buy it,
fire.
you can burn it. If you buy it, you can burn it.
Yeah. But
You
no,
can do whatever you want. Yeah.
it's all
Yes,
connected.
it should be called the burnout special cell.
Yeah, but it is all connected. The various things we've seen. It's just this hyper reactive, hyper emotional reactions to stuff, and all it does is just takes a little bit of a cooler hand, which isn't me. Which is it's not. That's not me. I'm not the cooler head. But you know, you're exactly right. And I have to say, Brad, you handled it beautifully, dude. Because I would not have been as nice for sure. But you were very polite and you were very patient and good on you, dude. You know,
Well, I tried to, I tried to live by treat how you want to be treated.
Yeah.
You know, I run a store on a daily basis. You know, I deal with customers on a daily basis. You know, I've always tried to live like that. You know, there's times, of course, I do something stupid or I'll blow up or whatever, but usually I'm around just friends when that happens and we kind of work it out. But
Sure.
yeah, I've never done it to like a customer or potential customer.
Well, certainly
you know,
a customer.
yeah, dude.
But write that guy's down.
Just me.
Just
me.
Well, you're.
No, you blew up on me. I was just teasing you.
Yeah. But just write that down, guys. Guys, Brad says that Chester is stupid. Just there you go.
I have a question for a guest.
Yeah. Go ahead, George.
So,
Did we lose George's mic? Maybe we
No,
did.
no, I'm here. I just somebody else wants to speak first. Go ahead.
No,
please.
go right ahead, George. You're fine.
no, go ahead, George.
Okay, tell me about your writing process. Are you doing a novelization, movie script formats? You said you're breaking it into threes, and how are you planning it out, and how are you scripting out your story? Is it loose? Is it tight? You know, visually, you know, what is your process?
I have a super anal outlining process ahead of time. So my stories end up really tight because of the way I outline things. So I have every issue kind of mapped out first. And then I break each issue down into an outline where, usually I write a paragraph or two about what I want the issue to be about. Then I break that down into bullet point that are like 1 to 3 pages in my outline, and then I break down into a script that's broken down by panel. So for this one, for Flying Sparks, I actually came up with the idea with an artist, and we toyed around with some concept drawings for a while. Then I took the original idea was just like to follow the villain's path and just have him be the story, and just have a Fence who has some superpowers who just like is trying to keep his head down. And that was my original idea with the book. And Metagirl came later, actually, even though she ends up being kind of the main protagonist of the book. But once I saw, he needed an adversary, and then once I saw her design and saw her, I actually started thinking about her stories, and that's how this kind of all developed. So so I have a pretty good process in terms of the outline. I map out the characters. So if you see on the Kickstarter here, I've got a couple character bios where I've got like kind of their background history, some of the things they're interested in, what they do, how old they are, occupation, things like that. This is about, I would say, for character notes that I have, this is probably, this is not. I have about 3 pages worth of typed text, so this is just a very simplified version of that. And then I start to writing. With Flying Sparks, I intended on having this story like this, and I intended on doing originally I intended on doing like a multimedia presentation. So I was going to have this, the main comic story. I had my Metaman side story, which I've mentioned. And I was going to actually have a actress play Metagirl and start a YouTube channel as if it was just a real thing. And for those who know about the character, she doesn't have powers. She just has gadgets that her professor has invented. She's kind of like his assistant who's testing these out. Well, we skip over her origin in the book. We mention it, but we skip over it. I was going to do it as a series of like science video blogs where she was just like going to like talk about her experiments of the day, how they went, and etc. Like little 3-minute videos that just kind of progress her until she finally like goes out and says, I'm going to try to be a superhero about this. That was the original plot, and it just became. I got an actress working. I got film people working on it, and it kind of fell apart because that was just too much for me to manage with a day job and all that. And so I gave up on that and kind of just put that on the wayside. I might do it eventually. I mean, if this goes gangbusters again, all bets are off, right?
Kind of a neat idea, yeah.
But yeah,
I remember the Blair Witch Project. Had a lot of buildup, and it used the internet, and it made all all these kids and what they were doing seemed like it was they were actual real people doing an actual real thing. And then you see this movie, this documentary, and you think, what the hell happened? And then you find out it's all fiction. So that's a cool way of incorporating that into your comic as well.
Yeah. The next thing is I'm going to mention, because there's a stretch goal on here, because I'd love to hit $50,000 this time. I hit 30 on the first one. But at 50, the other thing I wrote was MetaMan. For those who read it, he actually is kind of like he's got another power where he doesn't age, so he's kind of been around for forever. And I designed that to be kind of like Superman through the ages, right? So I wrote his origin, and I wrote a couple of adventures of him as like an old time radio drama, because like the Shadow or the Green Hornet, they used to be done in these like radio serials.
Yeah.
And they're awesome if you guys ever find those. So I wrote them. I have scripts for them for MetaMan. And at $50,000, I mean, I'll have money where I can hire a nice editing crew and some voice actors and do one of those. So I'd love to be able to do that for backers and really push this to the sort of multimedia experience I intended. So yeah, I planned this out to such an extent that it's there's a lot is to answer your question directly.
Oh, that is very cool, dude. Let me come over here to chat real quick and catch up. We have a lot of people who really agree, Brad, that it needs to be burned in an incinerator live, so that we can all see that it's dead. That there's a pretty unanimous. Yeah, it's
they're welcome to pay for it, and they can do whatever they want on video with it.
All right, there you go. Edwin Boydat says that live streams are never the place to work out contentious issues. Don't do it. Yep, that's definitely true. Thank you for your wisdom, Edwin, as always. And Joshua said the same thing. I wonder if someone will pay Brad to burn it. Yeah, I'm sure they will.
Brad, we need to move on. We need to move on.
Yeah. Now, here we have a very interesting comment. This is from Zebulon Pike. There's Fairnart shipping handyman in Cyberfrog. Handy Frog. No idea. Bullet says, would be nice to have you here, Bullet. He says, give a handy, save a cyber.
Oh.
That's funny. I like it. I do apologize a little bit. But SJW Joshua has showed up. I'm curious, how many sock puppets can Joshua get into one stream? It's a challenge to you, Joshua. I want to see how many sock puppets can come into one stream, dude. We're up to what? 3
You know
so
not
far
what you
today,
do,
4?
sir.
Huh?
You know not what you do.
I know exactly what I do. I want to see it, dude, because we're up to like 4, I think, right now. But you keep bringing them, dude. I want to see how many you got. But nevertheless, let me move over to Thundero. Now, you've been real quiet this whole time, dude, and I know you got some things, some questions for John, and talk about his comic here, so have at it, dude.
Hi, John. How are you today, bud?
That sounds like a setup.
Is he here?
I think he is.
Oops, sorry about that. I hit a mute button on my mic accidentally.
Okay.
And
I thought that very basic question scared you away. I was like, oh, well, that's not good.
Now we're good.
Asked the question yet.
That was a question.
Yeah, that was my question. How is he? No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, yeah, John and I have talked a lot for a very long time, back and forth, like on Twitter and in DMs and stuff. I very much support his work ethic. He has an incredible work ethic, honestly. I'm just going to give him a little praise, put him over a little bit here. But I'm wondering, and you probably answered this before, but why is the book called Flying Sparks? I've never read it, so maybe there's a reason that I've never seen, but why is it called Flying Sparks?
Well, you haven't read it. I mean, there you go. There's your problem. Fix that.
No, because it answers inside the book.
Yeah, it's a pretty obvious one. So she flies, and then he kind of shoots sparks out of his hands. So
gotcha.
So
I told you it was an easy question.
Yeah, and then of course Flying Sparks also implies, because the book has a intense romance, and she's a hero, he's a villain. They're dating under their secret identities and don't know about it, right? Mm-hmm. And so the Flying Sparks also is a it's a pun on their name, on their abilities, and it's not a pun, it's double entendre, and also because of the tense romance, right? It's Flying Sparks, right?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
See, I knew there was a deeper meaning.
He was being
Why did I
literally
ask that
like,
question? Yeah.
Sporkman wants you guys to know that he has backed Handyman and Flying Sparks. Well, thank you very much, Sporkman.
What a man.
Sporkman,
What
you're
a
the
man.
best.
Okay. Well, here's another sock puppet account. It's up to 5 now. And Simpsons Joshua asks, "Who is your favorite Simpsons character?" John.
I do have. After he's done with this, I do have one other question.
Yeah, no.
Gosh, this is. I want to say Apu to be edgy.
I like Apu, actually. I like Apu.
Apu?
Okay. Oh,
I'm going to go with that.
Give you a question.
Yeah,
He's
go
going to
ahead,
stick with
Thunder.
Apu. My other question is this one's called, this one's obviously has, it's about the mob ties.
Yeah.
How do I word this question now that I think about it? How heavy into the mob does it get? Like, is it, I mean, obviously don't give away too much, but how deep into that world does it get? Is it very much more focused, more like a mob book with superhero elements, or is it still a very heavy superhero romance book type deal with mob elements?
So the books I grew up with are pretty much Spider-Man and Batman, right?
Mm-hmm.
And about like, every 2 or 3 years, you'd be chugging along. Spider-Man's doing his thing. The Hobgoblin's getting killed or not actually killed, but disappears. Spoiler alert for Spider-Man 250, I think it is. If you haven't read up to 1982 yet. But and then suddenly, like, the Kingpin is like fighting with the Rose or the Hammerhead, and like this mob war breaks out between them, like, and just like totally throws his life out of whack, right? I think that's happened in Spider-Man like 6 to 8 different times now, maybe more. And I love it. I always think it's really fun when he's like thrown into the middle of this mob war while he's trying to get his life back on track and trying to do his superhero thing. And so it definitely comes at it from that perspective more than anything else. Except for we have one of our protagonists is Johnny, who's a criminal, and he's a fence getting roped into it. Not as a guy who has to like find them and fight it, but as a guy who's getting tapped to actually work for them. So that's where it gets a little complicated.
Spectacular.
Yeah, I am looking forward to seeing how this story continues. Actually, now I know that you're Thunder was saying that he liked your work ethic, and of course you're very prolific as well. Because Flying Sparks here, which we're talking about, I'm going to bring it back up to the screen to show that page again. But I know you work on other things too, though, dude. So comic book related stuff. So tell us a little bit about some of the other comic books that you've been working on. I know I saw at least one, maybe even 2 other ones.
Sure. One is actually still available on Indiegogo. I took down all the tiers except for just the basic book at this point. It is the Ember War, and I've worked with the same artist. It's Jethro Morales who's doing my art on all of this. I've worked with Jethro, for a long time now, and just been trying to just cultivate a relationship with him where we just do a ton of stuff together for years, right? And so it's fun. You're gonna have to look up Ember War comic, and you're seeing why. The Ember War is a book by Richard Fox. It's a military science fiction book. Aliens invade Earth and humanity fights back. Pretty simple concept. He calls it Michael Bay with marginally better dialogue. And it's a bestseller on Amazon. Has sold hundreds of thousands of copies of his books.
Sweet.
And I became friends with him over the last couple of years. Since the Dragon Awards from Dragon Con, which is a convention in Atlanta, big awards. And I went up against him in the military science fiction category for one of my novels. And he was nominated and I was nominated. And I thought I had it no problem. I'm like, I got a fan base that's motivated. We're going to do this. And he kicked my butt and got the award and I didn't. So I'm like, I better read his book. And I read it, fell in love with it, became friends with him. And eventually I was like, hey, have you ever thought about adapting this into comics? It would make sense because you've got a lot of big audience. I've got a big audience, and we could see how it goes. And he said, sure, let's do it. And so I'm like, well, I can use my guy. I'm working on Flying Sparks right now. And we've diverted him from Flying Sparks a little bit to get that done. And did a 120-page graphic novel. I just came out with issue 4 digitally to backers. Out of 5, and all of the art's done, and it'll be shipping within the next month. So yeah, so this is one of those. This will be my second graphic novel out to backers since I started crowdfunding mid last year. And because these have been such a success, I've just poured everything back into art for books. So I've got these that are out right now, but I'm also working on books called Dynamite Thor, which is a 1940s Golden Age superhero.
Blasphemous.
Blasphemous.
I'm just kidding.
There's
only one Thor.
Except for this one, which is public domain. So
Oh.
it's yeah, I know.
I've been wondering about that.
Yeah. And which I thought was really fun. I've got one called the Cosmic Warrior, which is going to be kind of my like cosmic superhero type that in my universe. I've got one called AI Wars, which is humanity versus AI robots that take over. And then I've got one called Clockwork Dancer, which is a Victorian era steampunk featuring Her Majesty Queen Victoria's Secret Service. And I think that's all of them. Is that all of them? I don't know. There might be more. There's probably more.
Are these all
very busy?
George,
let me interrupt you real quick. Yeah, Tim, I see you're in the chat, dude. I just dropped you a link. Why don't you drop in here and say hi, dude?
Tim Lim, my boy.
Yeah, I put the link in your Facebook, dude. I'm sorry. Go ahead, George.
So, are these interconnected universes?
My superhero ones will be. So Dynamite Thor and Metagirl, I've done a short one with them as a crossover, which I do as a giveaway to backers as digitally. I had kind of a I'd say an amateur artist do that one who just did it for fun, so I don't want to sell it. But so that's part of that universe. Cosmic Warrior, I think could tie in also. But the other ones being steampunk or sci-fi, like the Ember War, are kind of don't fit. So I'm building a superhero universe, and I'm also building some other things. Yeah,
that's cool, dude. That is cool. Now I do have a question.
My goal with all of this is because here's my real goal. I want to be able to come out with a comic book a month. Like I'm a real pro enterprise. That is my 100% goal. And I'm very close. I've been doing that for my backers, just with each individual issue, at least for the last 5 months. But I want to be able to like maintain that as a career and just be like the stalwart guy who's always coming out with something. And that's because Chuck Dixon does that, and I want to be him. So
there you go. Yeah, Chuck is cool. I do have a question for you though, because one of the things we talk about over here a lot is all the aspects of comics, how you make them, the people involved, and all that kind of stuff. But one of the continuous problems we have is distribution, right? Because because we're not in the diamond model, we're not in control of the stores or anything like that. We're having to use these Indiegogo or these crowdfunding places, and it's working well. It's really cool. There's a lot of effect in people interacting, but it does kill us on shipping and things like that. Do you foresee anything in the future that might be able to solve our distribution issues that we're having with this indie revival?
Yeah, what I'm doing is some of these I'm not going to crowdfund. I'm using, like I said, like this crowdfund. When it hits $20,000 or $30,000, I'll be able to pay for 2 or 3 books with this, and so and that's what happened with the other 2 also. So I'm going to release some of these other comics direct to Amazon, and that's what I did with the Metaman special. So you can get that on Amazon right now, or you can get it on the crowdfund either way. But you can pick it up on Amazon, and I've got it for $4.99 for a 22-page comic book. That's slightly more than Marvel, but releasing direct to Amazon like that, just because of what Amazon takes, isn't going to pay for the art by itself, which is the hard part. And so I figure I'll use the crowd funds for that to get my artists paid, and then on the distribution end, I'll be able to get more content out to people to where it's not going to break their bank. And the reason I like Amazon is, 1, because you can sell digitally with Kindle, obviously, but 2, a lot of people have Prime memberships, so $4.99 on there, they're not going to have to pay anything extra for shipping on that.
No, all right. Well, there you go.
Oh yeah.
There is a question here from the chat, which is kind of come out of left field, but I'll ask it. Liam wants to know: are you doing Cyberfrog? Are you writing a Cyberfrog right now?
No, but I'd be happy to. If Ethan wants to work with me, that'd be great.
Cool, because I know he was looking at people, handing it off in various different ways, because he has so many things he wants to do in the future. So, but anyway, Tim Lim has joined us. Hello, Tim. How you doing, man?
Hello. How's everyone doing?
I'm doing great, dude. Glad to see you. It's been a while.
better now that you're here.
Yeah.
Is it better now, John?
I'm making it awkward. Yeah.
Do I make you? Do I literally make you feel better? I know you've been under the weather for the last.
Yeah, I've been super sick this week. Yeah, I'm like muting my microphone to cough basically, but yeah, now that you're here, my cough's like going away. It's because that Asian doctor thing, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just worked my my mystic ninja magic skills on you.
Goodness gracious. I'm surrounded by Asian doctors, by the way. Yeah. Oh, you just made some more money on the Flying Sparks, dude. Sweet.
He just keeps bragging.
Sweet.
He just keeps bragging about being in Japan.
Oh, me? Was that a Japanese brag, or was that an insult? You gotta pay attention. The shade goes sideways, baby.
Well, I forgot, Chester, that you're in Japan, aren't you?
Yeah. Yes, I am.
How could you forget?
Yeah, I know how. Oh, God, I'm the only Asian bear. I'm not even Asian.
And you say it over and over.
I know. I'm sorry, DeWolf. I do apologize for existing.
You should.
So, John, how do you like it so far? The comparison between Kickstarter and Indiegogo, just as a platform.
I am liking Kickstarter better because I know I'm getting people from Kickstarter to a higher degree just from the metrics I'm looking at. I've gotten messages already from backers being like, "Hey, I see you're from There's people on Kickstarter who just like search for local projects too." And so like, I see you're from the San Francisco area, and I backed your book because you're my San Francisco homie. I've never backed a comic before. This is pretty cool. And I'm like, yeah, thanks. I'm right here. So yeah, that was pretty exciting.
When you're comparing the pluses and minuses, what are some advantages that Kickstarter has over, or Indiegogo has over Kickstarter, and vice versa? I think you already covered one thing. Is there anything that you can think of having been familiarized with the layout of Indiegogo that you think is a little bit more advantageous?
I think there's a couple. There are definitely drawbacks and pluses to both. I think Kickstarter has a little slick. It's similar, obviously, but it's got a little slicker of a look, which helps things, obviously, just from the marketing perspective. Second, everybody's on there. It's got a much bigger audience just to like find your stuff, and that's kind of the benefit of it. Indiegogo, the benefits I believe are the fact that you can go. You don't have to do the fixed goal, which means you don't have to hit your goal in order to get the money. They charge you right away. And Kickstarter, it's like you're sitting here. I'm sitting at close to $4,000, but my goal is 6. If I didn't hit the 6, it just all goes away. I don't get anything, right? And Indiegogo allows you to be able to produce and all that, even if you don't hit it. I'm confident I'm hitting it, so I'm not like that's why that's not even a factor for me at this point. But it could be for some people who are smaller creators who are gonna produce the book anyway, but just like they definitely want to go because of what they need to make. And then Indiegogo has in-demand is the only other major difference I could see. And in-demand lets it stay up as an online store after it closes. And that's been pretty useful for me. I've been very happy with in-demand. But Kickstarter's got a plugin called BackerKit where it keeps an online store up for you. And I'm just using BackerKit. And I'm actually, BackerKit's a little more robust. It's a little more user-friendly as a store. And for somebody like me, I've got a bunch of novels and that I'm selling also. So it's like I can have my novels on there a la carte on BackerKit, and when somebody goes to check out, if they want to buy my steampunk book too or whatnot, they can just do that easily right in the store. Whereas in-demand doesn't have that. So that's pretty much the differences right there. But yeah, they're very. I'd say overall they're very very similar. There's not that much difference.
Well, it strikes me that the main difference is that Kickstarter, its benefits are all on the front end.
Yeah.
In a way, having their algorithm match people who might be interested in you geographically, and having a little bit more interactive community that makes it so that you benefit a lot from having to from getting a lot of that marketing push taken care of. Whereas it seems like Indiegogo is a little bit friendlier and has a little bit more incentives on the back end. It kind of just depends on what your focus is, because like a guy like me, I have no interest in having like an online store set up, so it really is of no use to me. So I think that's really useful for people to know before they decide which platform to use.
Absolutely.
Well, the Backer kit is amazing. Actually, I do like that a lot, and I wish Indiegogo would get something a little more like it, because it allows the creators to do a lot more than
It's
you can do on Indiegogo.
it's slick, and I've also got a thing. There's also a thing called BackerKit launch tools now, and they actually you import your last crowdfund campaigns list of people who backed before, and it just helps you track them and track whether they've backed again, basically. So I had a couple hundred people commit to buying it ahead of time through the BackerKit launch tools through an email program there,
Oh.
and you know, I mean, some of those people have backed. Obviously, you know, a couple hundred have not yet. But so what it'll do is it'll tell me in a few days, like this person committed, but they have not backed yet. You should follow up with them, and then I'll send a follow up email to them just to make sure they saw the campaign. So it definitely helps you target your readers and your existing audience better on that end too, which I find that pretty awesome.
Yeah, it is. We do have a few comments here from the chat I want to catch up with. We have Meow Cat, who says, hearing Shoe on Head reading Lynn's book was awesome. Well, I'll have to go check that out because I like Shoe on Head. She's funny. Lewis Michael says, that's why his sound is a bit lower. He's really far away. Okay, here we go. Is this better? Is this better? Is this better? Zebulon Pike says, this seems like a level-headed conversation promoting any books. True, but some drama has left a bad taste for me, keeping an open mind. That's awesome, dude. That's exactly what you should do.
That's what we're all about.
Yeah, it is exactly. Liam says that Kickstarter posted fake campaigns knowingly. Well, that's arguable, but fair enough. Meowcat continues and says, "Hail Tim Lim, we missed you. Aw, love for the Tim."
I actually got hit with one of those fake campaigns last summer. I was the target of one of those. You know, being kind of a you know, sort of more vocal Comicsgate person from the start here. I got hit right away with it. I don't think Kickstarter knowingly did it because they found it. It took them a while to review it and take it down. I think it took almost a day, but they did end up taking it down, and they got rid of it as soon as they found it was a forgery campaign. So I don't see any evidence that they were like in on it or anything like that.
Oh, well, yeah, and you know, and the cool thing about our community is we're so tight at this point. We know people, and we're so engaged with what's going on that if you see something that pops up that seems weird, we're going to notice that something's weird about that. But when you have Brad and Todd and you know, and John and is there another John? And they all came out with something. We know them, and they you know, we talk about things. People campaign now for months prior, so you know that's kind of bad on Kickstarter, I guess. But as far as the comics community we got going on, that's cool that we don't see much of that.
Well, there is a very annoying John we call Dillard, but you know, other than that.
Yeah, I know. I didn't want to say it.
I know. But anyway, guys, we are definitely sitting on the top of our hour, and this has been a great conversation with John, and I thank you very much for coming in, Tim, and joining us. But we do need to move on and do a little bit of the news that we do on these days, so that we can at least keep somewhat on schedule. So we're gonna shift over to that here momentarily. So what I want to do is, does anybody in the panel have any questions for anybody else? So go for it. Wow, silence. Oh, there you go. I guess we covered everything.
John. I did have one other question for you, John.
Mm-hmm.
My check bounced. When am I getting paid?
Uh-oh.
Oh, gee.
Well, I couldn't let you go on here and not make a joke about it. So
as soon as you start moderating for my channel, I guess.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably should do my job then. Okay, I get it.
Probably should. Yeah. But you can only have him part-time, John. He's permanently locked in here. You know, contractual obligations. Okay, just keep that in mind.
All right, I got it.
All right. Cool. All right, guys. What we're going to do is we're going to move over and we're going to cover some of our news. And I really hope that John and Tim stick with us and give us their opinion on these news topics we're going to cover. So let me go ahead and jump over to that screen. and switch over to that and share, of course, with the panel here so they can see what we're doing one more time. We'll come back to this at the end as well, guys. Keep in mind that we're here talking to Jon, but of course he's promoting his Flying Sparks 2, and we definitely want to see everybody get on board with that. So go over and check that out on the Kickstarter this time, not Indiegogo. And as you see, it's sitting up there, and he's actually made some money during the show, and that's awesome, dude. We're really happy to see that. So let's go ahead and get into our news topics, though. I'm going to start with a very soft one, a very really soft one. You guys ready? Noah Centineo, I guess, in talks to play He-Man in Sony and Mattel Films' Master of the Universe. Now, of course, the anniversary, the 40th anniversary, I do believe, is coming up, and there's been a lot of talk about a movie, and they've been really kind of pumping this up. We're still not sure if it's really going to happen or not, but it seems like they're trying to move forward. But I don't know this boy at all, so I went and researched him a little bit, and this is what I found. Ooh.
Oh. Okay.
Good Lord.
This reminds me of the Prince, concept where he holds up the sword, because I'm a traditionalist. I liked whenever I got the little comic book with the figures, and it was just a big barbarian. It was a Conan-esque guy, and so it looks like here that they're actually choosing someone that's going to represent the young prince aspect more so, and then I maybe CGI some the He-Man on him. I don't know.
It's He-Ma'am.
Get it right.
Ma'am.
Gosh.
Yeah, I don't know.
Take you outside and show you a sir.
I'm just leaving this image in your mind, guys. You decide. Oof.
Wow. They did have the figure, though. When it came out, he was very tanned. He was very dark. Matter of fact, they went like a couple steps lighter than originally. And so if you made him blonde, he actually would represent the actual color of the figure pretty well.
Oh, I don't care anything all about that. That means nothing to me. This is teenage girl bait, is what this is. Yeah. And he's pretty boy, I guess. But damn, dude, damn.
He's got a good likeness. I'll give him that.
I don't know.
We don't have to be happy about it.
It's painful. Look at this one over here. What? Actually, yeah, I think he's fine as Prince Adam. I'm just wondering if this is the route they're going to go. And it's smart, right? Because you do want to have some of the cheesecake for the girls and the ladies too. Because the teenage girls and the middle-aged women are going to go crazy for this boy. He's very a handsome, cute boy, and that's smart marketing. There's no problem with that at all. But the question that comes to my mind when I see this, though, the thing that popped in my head, he does have a thing where he's being super sexy for the ladies here. Ooh, super sexy. He's not He-Man. So therefore, are they CGing He-Man? Is it going to be a CG He-Man? Is what came into my mind when I saw this.
Yeah,
it's going to be haven't announced the actual He-Man character yet.
Well, I'm just curious if we're going to have one at all, or if it's simply going to be him as Prince Adam, and then they CG him up when he I have the power, happens. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, goodness.
It's interesting, right? Now, I'm assuming everyone here, of course, at least knows He-Man, but do we have any actual He-Man fans with us?
I mean, ish.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually a little... Yeah, go ahead, dude.
I'm a Tila fan. So, but as far as that goes, so maybe listen to this now. Now getting into his character, right? So he can look like this, he can be Prince Adam or whatever. But what's his attitude going to be? Is he going to be that straightforward, manly guy, that punches meteors that are coming out of the sky and he saves the planet like that, or is he going to be more soft? And that's the problem, because
it could be.
What we want to see is very hunky, very machismo, right? Well, I want to see a guy like that, and that right there is going to be the difference between one thing or the other.
Well, the Nee brothers are writing the script. Now, I don't know the Nee brothers. Maybe here someone does, but for me, He-Man, I was too old is the problem. When He-Man came out, I was just. just too old. I was dating girls, and I was getting into that age, so I'm just a little bit too old. So I never really watched He-Man. It was on occasionally, but I wasn't into it. I was more Thundar the Barbarian, 70s type of stuff, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Thundar is definitely a superior character. I would
Thundar is
agree.
way superior. Thundar is awesome. Yeah. But He-Man is the mega hit, though.
The big news is going to be who plays Beastman, who plays Skeletor, who plays Teela. I mean,
Rosie O'Donnell is playing Beastman.
Oh, who? Say that again. What?
Rosie O'Donnell is playing Beastman.
Oh, she would be perfect for the part. Yeah. Old Rosie.
You know, He-Man is one of the few properties where the bad guy is actually cooler.
Oh, Skeletor, yeah. Skeletor. Now, here we go. I'm looking on the page for these guys, and like they have hardly any credits at all, dude. The Last Romantic.
Does this strike any like I'm getting the same vibe from this as we got from Gem and the Holograms. Most people didn't even realize that movie came out. I mean, like not really putting much of a budget into it.
Yeah, it was a disaster. It was a disaster. Yeah.
Oh, why'd you bring up such terrible memories?
Yeah, you know, and of course, I didn't watch the Gem and Holograms when I was a kid, but there were a lot of kids, particularly girls, who loved that show. I mean, real big fans of it, and they absolutely botched that, man. I mean, I feel bad for the fans, you know. But it looks like this Nee brothers, Aaron and Adam Nee, they have done The Last Romantic, never heard about it, and Band of Robbers. I don't know these guys at all, but yet they've been pegged to ultimately a multi-billion-dollar IP. Really? It's an odd choice. It's an odd choice. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
But and unless anyone has any other comments on it, I'm going to move on.
At least, hopefully we don't get the original Masters of the Universe, where for the first 15 minutes it seems pretty interesting, and then all of a sudden Dolph Lundgren and the rest of them end up on Earth, and they're using Star Wars blasters, and it's just silly. So.
It was really they botched that as well. That's really unfortunate. But I mean, who knows what they'll do? I mean, they were like, "Oh, we can't have it off Earth. We need to make it relatable." Dude, go watch a thing called Star Wars. I mean, right?
Yeah. No, that whole Earth thing was because of budget. It was
probably.
And nothing.
Yeah.
It was a pure 100% budget.
I have a proposition for this film. We from now on will not call it He-Man. We'll just call him He-Cuck, because that is not He-Man. There's nothing about this dude that screams He-Man.
Well, I don't think he is He-Man, dude. I think he's just Adam.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I think he's just Adam. That's why that came into my head immediately was, are they CGing He-Man? Because you know, Adam and He-Man, of course, look very similar. I mean, because it's the same people. But I mean, they could be going with simply they're going to inflate him with CG, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know, because it looks like they're spending big money on this dude. I mean, it's what it sounds like. But then again, they hired some dudes that hardly have any directing experience. I don't know what they're thinking. But Lewis Michael says, I'm a Sorcerer fan and Evelyn. Yeah, a lot of people like those. Roger Heller says, right here, let's boycott this actor as He-Man. I don't know. I think he's fine as Adam. He's a pretty boy. I mean, they're trying to sell the movie, right? Bullet Gem was terrible. Yeah, it was. Gem the cartoon was great. It was very, very popular. Yeah. I remember a lot of girls used to wear those shirts when I was a kid. Let's see, the brothers N. Yeah, I don't know who they are either, dude. Newman, it's Ma'am. Goodness gracious. Star Wars had millions in production budget. Masters of the Universe was made in a high school gym. Meowcat says. All right, there you go. Yeah. But cool. All right. Let's move on though. But it sounds like this.
On the He-Man note, I'm gonna have to roll out and get my kids some dinner, guys. So
all right,
it's about 6:30 here. So thank you for having me on.
Yeah,
and I appreciate it. So enjoy He-Man, ma'am.
Same here. I gotta get ducking now too.
All right, guys. Thanks for coming on, both of you. And keep in mind, guys, go check out the Flying Sparks. And of course, before you jump out, Tim, do you have something you want to announce or promote?
No, I'm just glad to be here. FanSpeak is a great channel. You guys do good work. It's always a pleasure whenever I get the chance to join when it's live. So keep up the good work. And hello from the United States. Hopefully everything is going fine over there in the land of the rising sun.
It is going wonderfully. Absolutely. No troubles here.
Gosh, what a class act he is. Oh my gosh.
I know he's
No,
awesome.
that-
Yeah, isn't
he's
he?
just
Isn't he?
oozing
Any guy with a
class.
suit and
It's like
tie, I mean,
Sinatra came walking in here.
Yeah,
Goodness
You don't have to
gracious.
butter me up, John. You know I'm going to support your projects.
All right.
Have a good night, guys.
Yeah, later, guys.
See you guys.
Later,
Thank you
everyone.
very
Later,
much for
guys.
coming on. Awesome. All right. Well, that was a good conversation we had with those guys, and like I said, go support their work. These guys are very prolific, and they're very focused in what they're doing, and we loved having that conversation. I'm glad I finally got to speak with Jon live. I've certainly spoken to him in DMs and stuff, as of course many of us have, and of course thank you very much for coming on, Tim. But let's move on away from this whatever this is going to be. But I don't know. I'm not as negative as you guys. But let's go to the next thing, which I'm not happy about, really. Bill and Ted Face the Music gets a most excellent release date. Oh, really? When is it getting released? Let me see. Does it say that? How long does it take them to tell me? Oh, no. Hold on a second. 2020 summer. The very end of the article. 2020 summer. Thank you. Yeah, I just don't care. I know you guys probably do, though.
Chester, you're just so down on what could be an absolute classic. I mean, don't you remember how great Dumb and Dumber 2? Oh wait,
Yeah.
Wait, maybe this is a bad idea.
Yeah, maybe.
Wait, now, hold on though. This is Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves is
Yeah, but Keanu Reeves, I love him, but he's good at one role and different variations of that role. These Bill and Ted movies, they're funny, but they're not good movies by
They're
any
not.
stretch of the
They're not.
imagination.
Yeah.
And in all honesty, he's probably the worst actor in that role.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
because okay, now that was Bill and Ted, right? You're right about Bill and Ted then, right? They're kind of goofy and stuff, but Keanu Reeves has moved on since then, and he's become a much more powerful actor, a great actor. And I bet as he goes into this role now, he's portraying an older guy. I bet they put more into it, and he wants to do it better, I would assume.
Probably, but they're going to spoof it though. They're going to be fish out of water. They're going to spoof it. They are. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm laughing at Hughes. He apparently has a Joshua Alexa account now, and that he can turn on when he tells Alexa to come on.
Sweet. All right, there you go. Well, I challenged him to show how many sock puppet accounts he has. We're up to 6 or 7 right now. So.
Oh, it's great.
Now, Bullet says.
Who do we know that uses the Alexa all the time?
I've never even.
Is that Pixel?
I
think it's Pixel. If we'll ask him how's things going and what's his weather like, all of a sudden he's asking Alexa.
Now, Flitz says, do you even Monty Python, Chester? I absolutely Monty Python, sir. Thank you very much. He also says, he did that joke again. It's knee, Chester, as in the Knights of knee, shrubbery, get off the shrubbery. Bullet says there was robotics, remember that, Bigfoot and Gem Block, and I loved that as a kid. Yeah, no, there were a lot of really cool cartoons back then. I wonder what happened, right? Now we have all these takes on this something Morty and Steven Universe or whatever. It's just absolute crap, man. We used to have really cool things back in the day. I feel sad for the young kids, man. Nick W's. What do you say? It is bad.
It's bad.
It is bad, yeah. Nick W says, where is Booster? Dude, he's sleeping, man. I told you, he has a nighttime job, and of course he's over here on this side of the world with me, and it's very early for him to get up and do this because he works at nights, right? So until the fall comes around, I don't know if we'll see much of Booster anytime around these hours, because it is what it is. Of course, we miss Booster. We love Booster, of course. He's
the good news is not to cut you off, but the good news is we do have some things we've talked about in the works where we might be able to set up streams that'll more accommodate Booster. So just keep paying attention, and it might very well get your oiled Kiwi fix still here on FanSpeak.
Yeah. Well, we will eventually, just when the seasons change. But yeah, I mean, that we'll keep in mind. Roger Heller does continue, and he says, or adds, he says, do you think with these classics coming back, do you think there will be a decent possibility of a Thundercats movie? I don't know. They did come back with a kind of remake of it a few years back, and I thought it was really, really cool, but it died really fast. I don't know what happened with it. But it is what it is. Bullet also says Booster has decided to put his big boy pants on. Yes, he has. He finally got a job, and we are very happy for him.
We're very proud of our Booster boy.
Yes, we are.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's move on here. Oh, no. Layoffs begin at 20th Century Fox after Disney deal closes. Now, of course, this is not surprising, but this is an interesting article. It's talking about the acquisition. It's talking about the shift in the layoffs, and you should go check this out if you want. This is from the Hollywood, what do you call it, Reporter, I guess, and it is a very thorough article actually. But I guess for me, the general topic, I'm not going to go read it, but the general topic here is, what do you think is going to happen with with 20th Century Fox coming in with Fox, being bought by Disney? What do you think Disney's going to do? Are they going to fire everybody, which they have done in the past, or are they going to just simply, bring it over and kind of just leave things as they were and little by little adjust it?
It's gonna probably be a mix of the two. They're gonna fire a lot of people eventually. I bet within the next year or two, they're gonna gut Fox. They're gonna gut 20th Century Fox down to basically just being a brand, if they even keep the brand. And it'll just be a shell of its former self if it still exists. They may keep it just to produce certain films and things out of it, just because it'll be easier to manage.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't really matter. Disney's got their claws in it now, and it's going to go full on the way everything else they've got their claws in
has.
So
they do have a very iconic logo, though.
Yeah.
Everyone around the world recognizes it. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, what they could very well do is just appropriate it. I personally think they very well could do that. There's so much they could do, which, like I said, with the brand name of 20th Century Fox, it's very iconic. Everybody knows it. So they probably won't get rid of it entirely, but that's pretty much all it'll be, is just a brand name.
Yeah.
Kind of like Sunbeam, the appliances are. That company doesn't exist anymore. They're just a brand name from some company in Canada.
Yeah.
So it's the same idea, pretty much.
Well, and I think they could use it to do more adult stuff because, Disney has to be Disney, right? So having a 20th Century Fox where they could put out maybe more R-rated type of things like, say, Deadpool and things like that, it might be a smart move. They've done this before.
Don't
with
they
like
already own? Yeah. Don't they already own some other company they do that through?
They own several. Yeah.
Yeah. Is it Miramax? I think it's Miramax. Yeah.
How about Marvel?
Yeah.
Right. So when you see Marvel pop up, right? It's Marvel. It's Disney's Marvel. You see Marvel pop up, you're getting an MCU movie. So when you see Disney in the little castle, you're going to be getting a kids show. So you're going to see Disney Fox. You're going to be getting a Fox, like Chester was saying, something that's going to have a different feel to it.
What you could see them do, and this probably is what they're going to do. What you're saying here, is you keep them as a separate house so they can put out more mature or whatever you want to call it content and not tarnish the Disney name. Exactly. So what they'll do, you very well could see like the new Deadpool movies or anything like that, or more adult oriented superhero movies coming out through the Fox label instead of the Marvel one. Whereas it could still be tied in because it's still under Disney's umbrellas. They could still do crossovers. That way they can still keep the fans of like the Deadpool series happy who want a more adult, a little more vulgar, a little more nasty, but funny, obviously, movie, and keep their brand. The Marvel movies really PG.
Yeah,
PG-13.
I think it's very iconic too, because we talk about Touchstone or Miramax. Some of us recognize it as soon as we see it, but not everybody. But when you see, as you said, when you see the Disney Castle logo, when you see the Marvel stamp, and when you see the 20th Century Fox entry, it's very, very recognizable. And I think it would be a very smart move for them to keep that as the image it is.
Yeah. Absolutely.
No. All right, cool. Let's move over here to. I'm sure you guys are going to really enjoy this one a lot. So let's do. This is our last little story for today, and then we'll move on to finishing out the show. But Will Feige, Captain Marvel, the X-Men.
Do they mean retcon? Is that what they're getting at
no,
here?
What they mean is put her in charge, make her part of the mutant story, put her, absorb X-Men into Captain Marvelness.
Ugh. Yeah, I hope not.
Well,
no, if they're smart and We don't know how smart they are, but if this does turn, which so far the Captain Marvel movie's done fine, which is good. I'm glad for them, but I have a feeling that's not going to last, especially if they do decide to start pushing more and more leftist bullcrap into the movies, which that's supposedly the plan. You very well could see one of the only places where that would work, at least to a large degree, especially things like racism and things, would be the X-Men universe.
Mm-hmm.
And you could see them put that more front and center if the rest of the MCU, the Avengers side, starts to slow down. Which I'd be fine with because the X-Men are my favorite group. But I don't know. I hope they're that smart to know what they have here. I think they are, and to know that they can shuffle it around if they need to. They don't have to just abandon anything or pollute things with other things like this is suggesting.
Yeah, and I really wouldn't make sense to me that they do that. I do know, I understand that Captain Marvel has 5 films left, right? Because she was taken on a contract for 7 movies. She's done 2 of them already, right? We haven't seen the second movie, but it's done, right? So there's 5 more movies they have for her, but we have no clue what they're going to be, and they could be a bunch of cameos, right? They don't necessarily have to be full on her. And I cannot see them insinuating her into the X-Men at all, other than maybe using her to link them to the Avengers and, do something together with them. I can't see them doing that.
That's probably what they're going to do, because eventually they're going to have an X-Men Avengers crossover movie. I'm sure that's in the works, or at least on the table.
Well,
I don't see why not, why you wouldn't do that. So that's
X-Men?
probably, if anything, it'll just be cameos.
What about X-Men versus the Avengers, though? That storyline that went on for forever.
I hope not, but they could do it.
Yeah, like Civil War,
I think
right?
most people are tired of watching heroes fight heroes. We want to see good bad guys. That's why Infinity War was so good, because Thanos was they did such a good job with Thanos.
Oh, dude, I watched that again the other day on Netflix with my wife, and that is a stunning movie, dude. They really did a good job with that.
Yeah, it is. The Russos have been killing it ever since they've really been put prominent. So if anything's going to keep the MCU from falling apart, it'll be their directing.
Well, we do have a few comments here from the chat. We have Lewis Michael. He's talking about X-Men, Aliens, Predator, Family Guy, The Simpsons, Fantastic Four. Yeah, dude. They have all of that, and it'd be interesting to see what Disney does with them. Nick W. says, maybe now the 20th Century Fox opening will be re-added to the original trilogy, or even better, the original theatric release on Blu-ray. It's possible, right? That could be that's an interesting point you make there. SJW Joshua says something unnecessary. I'm sure.
I think the problem is, if I can just jump in on what he said right there, I think the problem is the reason why they haven't really touched the original trilogy is because Disney can't. They don't have the rights to. I mean, they own it, but they don't have the legal rights to do anything with it because the contracts are still held by whoever it was held by. So
Turner.
Turner, yeah. So they can't really touch it too much. That's why they've been making.
They got another 5 or 6 years on it.
Yeah.
SJW Marvel says they should use the Captain Marvel movie as the new Marvel formula. That's what this article is suggesting, dude. Flit says that Rogue drawing her power for 5 movies. Wishful thinking there, buddy. Wishful thinking. But
I mean, they now have a built-in out with the X-Men on board. They have the built-in out that would make most people happy. If you're a comic book fan, they could easily do that. They could drain her power and give it to Rogue.
Well, no.
What if they had Brie Larson in, say, 2 of her so-called signed movie deals, in which they just showed her in a hospital bed?
Yeah, they could.
I mean, really.
Now, of course, we're joking, but let's ask that question actually very seriously. What do you think is going to happen with the Captain Marvel character? It did make money. It's not going to hit $1 billion, but it's certainly, I don't think, going to lose them money. I don't know how close to break even it's going to be in the end, but I think they probably made a little bit on this by the end. But it certainly didn't hit like they wanted it to. No. And there's been huge backlash. So what do you think is going to happen going forward?
I don't think it's gonna continue the way Captain Marvel is. I think they're gonna do a serious retooling of the story the next time around, because technically speaking, it looks like they've done a lot of shenanigans to bump those the movie theater numbers up. And line is, the accountants within Disney, they don't care about all the lies and the shenanigans and all the marketing BS that they're putting out to inflate numbers that don't exist. They're just looking at the bottom line and saying, guys, you lost money here.
Right.
Either get your act together or you're going to have to start firing people. You know, you can't have both. And I think it's going to happen within the system.
Well, I think the
Yep,
real
yep.
problem is her face. I mean, that's the problem.
Why not call it that? Whiz, gosh, darn it.
No,
Okay, Chester,
It's,
so-
it's the same SJW problem that's been throughout all of entertainment for a long time. It really goes back before they really started taking over, but it's really prevalent now. And they're afraid to make her human. They're afraid to let her fail. They're afraid to show her be weak because they don't want to offend feminists or whoever. And so they made her Mary Sue. They made her just everything just works and da 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 da, and it's boring. That's not interesting to watch. We
No.
want to watch people struggle. We want to see them earn it.
Well, here's a possibility, and I think what we saw with her facing off against Thor may be part of that process, right? Add some makeup, change the look of her face so she doesn't look as young anymore, that she seems more mature, and they may actually use her in a more mature manner in some of the next films. And she honestly, what is the current Marvel way of doing things? It's to have a trilogy, right? We've had Captain America, Thor, they all have 3 movies, and that's what Feige has said. And then there's the other movies thereafter. So she's going to get a number 2,
Sure.
and we're going to see how that works out, right? Does it make anywhere near this one? Do they inflate it? Do they allow some of the crazy SJW stuff, or do they just try to promote it as just another Marvel movie
But,
on 2 accounts that word works?
On 2 points that you're making, though, that I would make is, one, I don't care because it's absolutely silly, but the point that the SJWs are all upset because the stupid white men put makeup on her, which, once again, they're not thinking very clearly, but they never do. But it is a fair point, because you look at this picture here, she has the makeup on her is extremely subtle. And then the makeup in the trailer, it's very extreme. And of course, like I said, they did that to make her older. But I get the reason why they kind of shocked them and jumped off, because they want her to be this ultra feminist hero. And in the movie, they do kind of touch on it a little bit, but they don't actually push the point as hard as the progressives would have liked. And that's why this movie is kind of sitting at that middle ranking, because it's not making anybody happy. Right? No sides.
Yeah.
Right.
And here's the other thing about their recipe. Each movie has a flavor, which is kind of cool about the MCU. You don't have to like every type of movie. Some people like Guardians of the Galaxy. It has its own comedic flavor, and it has that music involved. Captain America has the buddy story. So all of these things, they have a different thing about them. That, like Thor has that, what is it? Sacrificial. It starts sacrificial, and it's living up to this higher purpose and this cause that he alone has to bear, right? So each movie has that. So Captain Marvel is going to have her own. Unfortunately, it may be kind of feministy, but
Which
you know
is
what? You don't
okay.
go see that one.
Yeah, but I mean, a
That's
little
fine.
bit's
You
fine.
watch it,
Yeah,
but
put
it's
it
not
on
your
the tin,
favorite.
though.
Yeah, exactly.
Make
That's
sure people
And then
know. Make sure they don't walk in thinking it's something it's not.
Well, yeah, but you don't know what that is. You don't know that Guardians of the Galaxy is all about building a family of people together who are strangers and who wouldn't normally get along, but they become a family and meld together, and then you want to see that family bond, and even Yondu is considered his dad figure, right?
Oh, Yondu was
That-
awesome.
That's and that's the thing there. So
Yeah.
with her, you're going to have that. There has to be, you have to learn what her flavor of the movie is going to be, and you watch it, you take it for what it is, because she's going to show up in other movies, and hopefully she just melds into the other team movies and does the cameos and is part of the other Avengers and whatever crossover types that they start doing.
Yeah, well, the whole thing where they had Thor basically validating her in that trailer. It was so dumb, because we know Thor is very friendly and supportive of everybody except for Star-Lords and rabbits. So I don't get it. It's like dumb.
No, he liked the rabbit.
He did, but I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's dumb. It's you don't need Thor to do that. If you really want someone to validate her, well, then it would be Tony Stark, because he would actually stand that would be a much stronger validation, because Thor's
I have a
always
I think
been.
you're gonna
sneaking
see that.
suspicion you're going to see that
I'm sure we
in the
will.
movie.
You were the
He'll
most
be
awesome thing
validating her
ever.
somehow.
You were the most awesome thing ever. You
Oh,
were
she's so
awesome.
spectacular. I actually wanted to answer a Flint, or however you say his name, Amarant,
Flit
says it
Amaranth.
hasn't happened with Star Wars yet. What makes you think it's going to happen with Marvel? And he's talking about the execs pulling in the string because of franchises losing money.
Yeah.
Because these franchises, while they may lose money, they don't affect what the execs care about. The execs care about Disney's stock price. That's what the execs care about. The films could actually lose money as long as it doesn't hurt their brand. This is not, they don't do business like your mom and pop shop that has to survive on selling things over the counter. They do business on the back end with their stock price. As long as that stays
Oh, yeah, that's a
high,
good point.
they don't really, it doesn't really matter as long as it's not like a terrible, horrific tragedy of like a complete flop of a movie. So let's say it only made a 10% profit. I don't know, but let's say that's what it was. That's way more than enough to keep their stock price up and way more than enough to keep them happy. So that's why you haven't seen them pull the reins back on Star Wars, because they're still making money. They're just not making anywhere near as much as they should be.
Yeah. Well, and there's a fair point in here on this as well. Keep this in mind, that what's going on in Marvel comic books right now is that, and they've said this very clearly, right? They want to make, they say lifestyle brand, but what they also say is they want to make Marvel Comics a girl brand. They want it to be for girls. They don't want it for boys. They want it for girls, and that's where all the shifting is gone. Like the other day, I was reading a Dungeons and Dragons book with Brad on the New Comics Wednesday, and that was just absolute trash fire. It's horrible. It's not Dungeons and Dragons comic at all. But if you're a 12-year-old girl at a slumber party, maybe you like it. Right? And this is what they're doing. Now, at the same note, even though Disney said very clearly when they brought in Star Wars, they brought it in to be a juxtaposition to their Disney movies, because they wanted something for the boys. That's what they said when they brought it in. It's the reason they bought it, right? But Kathleen Kennedy has done everything she can do to make it for the girls. She said it very clearly many times. So we have Star Wars that is now for the girls. We have the comic books that is now for the girls. But the MCU itself has not made that shift yet. So the question is, are they going to follow that path, or are they going to keep it more universal or more boy-leaning as it should be? That, for me, is the interesting thing going forward to see what will happen.
Well, it's interesting because and I can tell you when this switch really started to happen, but if you go back and listen to the interviews from like George Lucas, who's probably for singular franchises the most successful director, producer, blah 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 of all
Absolutely.
time.
Yeah.
If you go back and listen to him, he'll tell you how he marketed and made his movies. The idea behind his movies were to get 12 to 15-year-old boys excited.
Yep.
That's who he made them for. If you can make them for them, anybody can watch them and find something they like. Whether it's a girl the same age, a girl older, a family, whatever. As long as that's your target audience, this was his philosophy, you can make a movie or whatever that anybody can get into and like. The problem is, about 25 years ago or so, when did Titanic come out? Around that time. Marketing in all these departments and these industries all looked at that, and they saw that Titanic was the biggest movie of all time at the time, and it did that by attracting young women. Young women went and saw the thing like 12 times in the theaters and ridiculous stuff. When that happened, right after that, in academia and places, you had people who were feminists who started telling everybody that women make all the decisions when it comes to money. Women are in control of the money. There's a big, huge, untapped market of women. And we've been living through this gradual decline until what we're in now of people trying to get that women's market, trying to get that money that's supposedly out there. Well, as we've seen, there is money out there. Absolutely. Women do spend money, but so do young men. And they've been basically abandoned in entertainment across the board, except for like porn. That's about it. And it's obvious when you see things like Star Wars. When you see a Star Wars movie not make as much as its predecessor by a significant amount, an extremely significant amount. I think it was over $1 billion, in fact. That's a problem, and that goes a lot to the way the movie's marketed, the way the movie's made, who the target audience is. And it's kind of what you're saying here. is where's the one for little boys? Where's the one for young kids? Where's the one for just men? Just anybody besides females that happen to have the mindset of a 12-year-old to a 25-year-old. Where is it? Because it doesn't seem like they want to market to it.
Well, it's very simple. Titanic is no different than Aquaman. The concept and the execution is exactly the same. And what you get is a great product and a lot of money is being spent. And there's a lot of women that went to the Titanic. There's a lot of women that went to Aquaman.
Oh, sure.
And it's yes, the two movies are universally, polar opposites, but the execution is exactly the same. And the SJW say, oh, Titanic, that's they're hanging their hats on it. Well, yeah, you can hang your hat on Aquaman too. What's your point?
Right.
Yeah. Well, if I may interject with a rant, please. Seriously.
Oh, here we go. Hold it.
Go ahead, George. All right.
Well, I would just before you rant. These two movies are 20 years apart, I believe. Is that correct? 1999,
something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, real close.
So, the concept is timeless. Okay, I'm done.
Rant incoming. When we go out into the world, right, and we go into malls and stores and all the things we do in our lives, usually when women holding their damn bags. When we go around, what do we see? We see stores left and right. Who are they for? Are they for men? No, they're for women. And if we break down the percentage of what stores actually service men and what stores service women, I don't know what the percentage is, but it's extremely unequal. Right? Because everything is for women. Everything is about selling stuff to them making money, them having their stuff. Now, you're talking about wanting to get some of the man's money. We get our money because our women spend it, right? And that's all well and good. That's the way things are. 80% of all the money on this planet is controlled and spent by women. Right? And this is nothing new, and it will not change because that's what it is about. That's what we do. The whole thing we do as men is go out and make opportunities for our families. That's our responsibility. It's built into our friggin' DNA. Right? But yet when we go out into the world and we try to find something for ourselves, we're so limited. It's almost like we're hamstrung into being buying tools or having a car or something like that. We don't have a lot of things to spend on. And then when we have a few things in entertainment that we can support, but yet these women come in here because, we have to make things better for the women and equal, and they steal this shit, it pisses me off. Because you keep taking more and more and more away from men. What is wrong with you, you goddamn Nazis? I use the word in the proper way.
Woo! You feel better? You sound like you feel better.
I do feel
better. Yeah, don't hold back. What are you really trying to say?
I want to know how you really feel next time. All right, I'm tired of you holding back.
Am I wrong?
No, you're 100% right. It's a vicious cycle. What happens is you see I've seen this happen in real life. You can see a group of men having fun together, doing whatever. Bunch of women around, and one woman just decides she needs to be over there with the men. She needs to be over there and having fun because they're having more fun than they are. Because we're pretty simple. We can have a lot of fun doing something really simple, and it seems like females have trouble with that. They have trouble entertaining themselves. So you'll see. I've seen this happen in real life. Like I said, a group of men just over there doing whatever, just having fun together, and a woman comes over, and within no time at all, she's broken up the group somehow, or she's changed what they were doing to accommodate her, so they're not having as much fun. So a bunch of the guys just leave, or they just stop doing it. And this was what happens in fandoms. It happens in hobbies. And I'm not saying we need to exclude women, but we also need to let men have their own space. What's wrong with men having their own spaces?
Or more.
Get to be men.
Huge problem.
You're talking about the natural instinct of the woman, and that's territory, that's dominance. These are instincts inherent in the female.
Right.
Okay.
It is.
What you're talking about is just a natural instinct in the female condition, the mind of the female condition. You can't get away from it. That's why females and males are completely different. That's why any one of us can look in the ceiling and just have fun looking at that bug walking across the ceiling, while the female is looking at it and going like, "Oh my God, I forgot to do the dishes last night.
Was that a Spider Ham reference?
I should have called Sal. I should have been there for Billy." It's like there's so many things wired into the female condition. It's ridiculous. The guys, they just look at a bug walk across the carpet, and they think that's the greatest thing they've seen all day.
Yeah. Well, it is built into our DNA. I mean, when you come down, you want to use single words. Women are selfish, men are sacrificial. And that's what it is. You say, "Oh, God, you call women selfish." Yeah, but you know what? As far as the DNA is concerned, it's a very, very good thing to be selfish because it protects the child.
Correct.
It protects the family. And it's built into us. And the problem is they're so blinded, some of them, not all, of course, as if I have to say this. But a lot of them... hashtag not all. But I mean, the problem is you get these ones who are so just soaked in their own selfishness that they cannot see that the things they're complaining about, everybody can complain about, no matter what their frickin' gender is.
Yeah. There's a I don't know what you call it, a principle or an idea or whatever of the disposable male. That's what you're talking about. Where men are in our society, it's interesting how much feminists complain because we actually have a completely gynocentric society. Marketing is directed at women. There's a million stores directed at specifically and only women. There's movies made just specifically and only for women. And for the most part, that doesn't really happen with men, at least not anymore. And it's called the disposable male. And basically what it is that men are replaceable because a lot of reasons, but historically we were replaceable.
We are.
We could go out and 100,000 men would go out and fight, and really you only need 10 of them to come back to keep the town alive. So it's something that's ingrained in us that is an ancient thing that we probably need to find a way to get rid of if we can, because we don't need it anymore. Our technology and our world has advanced and evolved to the point where it's just an outdated way of structuring society.
Yeah, no, and and the thing that kills me about it the most is the fact that most women are well aware of this, because most women are normal, people, and they love their relationships with their men as we love them, and this is not talking about women in general, because most women are well aware of everything that's being stated here, and they appreciate it. I mean, I know many of us here are married and happily married. We have wonderful wives and women, and there are many of them. But the problem is you have this very small group that has just lost their damn mind because, like I said, they're so self-absorbed in their own selfishness that they are causing problems. See, if it was just a bunch of noisy people, who cares? Who cares? There's always noisy people. But they are affecting change. I mean, we're literally seeing kindergartners and elementary school kids being taught about things that they should not be talking about. They're talking about freaking bathrooms and all kind of other nonsense. They've affected this in every aspect of society. We're seeing it leach in, and literally it's a cancer that is spreading and hurting. Freaking Gillette coming out and chastising men, half of their freaking audience, for being men, right? This is coming from such a small group of people because, like I've already said, most women are nothing like that, right? And I don't understand why we let this small, hateful,
You guys are
toxic
freaking
group...
me out, man.
The real answer to it, in all honesty, and I know it's going to sound harsh, is we have to stop tolerating it, and men need to enforce their spaces for only them. It's just that's what it is. We have to stop giving in and just saying, "Oh well, we don't want to be mean." No, sometimes you got to be mean. It's okay.
You gotta be mean.
Their feelings might get hurt, but they'll be okay. They'll bounce back.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. They can put their big girl pants on. They'll be all right.
Yeah.
What about that Vox Dave and John thing? I mean,
Woo!
You really want putting Wolf out. And of course, Gary Shipman just came in a little bit ago, and I do apologize, Gary, for my ranting, but it just really bugs me because it's affecting everything, and it's nonsense because, the women in my life, they hate it too. right?
I know that Vox thing is driving me out of control as well.
All right, fine. DeWolf will stop talking about it. Goodness gracious. Anyway, if my ranting has upset anybody, get over it. But moving on. We are coming to the end of the show, but it's just it keeps affecting us more and more. And one of the few little bright things we had was the MCU, because it's been fun and it's been for everybody fun, right? But it looks like it's starting to shift. But we'll see. And SJW Joshua says, "Shut this sexist old white man up." Yeah, I know, huh? You probably should do that. And Roger Heller says, "Hey, what about that Spawn is about to come out with issue 300? How about that?" And Todd is still making the movie, and it's going to be he's trying to change the subject too. All right.
Yeah,
Now, see that, and I'm not trying to chastise anybody, but that's part of the problem. We gotta not be afraid to talk about this stuff. If we're afraid to talk about this stuff, that's how they keep doing this to our spaces. They keep invading them because we won't talk about it. We just let it happen. We just, I don't want to upset anybody.
Well, we can
Sometimes
talk
people need
about
upset.
it. Then we can do what you guys were doing.
What is we're doing? Beating a dead horse?
Yeah,
If
yes,
that horse would quit
it was a
twitching,
nice
I'd quit
female
beating it.
dead horse.
Yeah. Okay. It's just a rant. It's just cathartic, dude. It's all right. No big deal.
And it was pleasant, and we all enjoyed it. We all hung in there, and we think that's great. And you guys are right. And is there anything else that we can do, all the rest of us here, for the two of you before we have to move on?
Oh no, we're done. I'm done. And we are done as well. This is, of course, the end of the show. We're sitting at our 2-hour mark, and I thank you guys all for coming in. No, we don't, Booster. Quit doing that. But we thank you very much for joining us. We had a lot of people here along the way, and hope you guys had fun. And very happy to have Jon Del Arroz on. It was a fun conversation about the various things he's working on and doing, and that's he's like we said, he's very prolific. He does a lot of stuff. And of course, we had Tim Lim jump in and say hi. That was really nice. Keep in mind that tomorrow we are watching Tombstone on FanSpeak's, of course, Bunny Vision Movie Night, which we love very much. Absolutely. Yeah. So definitely come check us out on that. Now, if you do want to watch that, a little prep beforehand will help you. Just go over to www.rabb.it and set up an account. It's really easy. I think you can link to your Google, right, DeWolf?
Yep, you can.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll be the wolf. You can.
Okay, there you go. But join us for that, because it's a lot of fun, and we enjoy just sitting, watching really good movies and talking about them. And then, of course, on Sunday, we have TFT, Tinfoil Talk. And this week, we're going to be talking about Bloodlines, man. And that's going to be interesting. That's pure fun conspiracy theory conversations, by the way, guys. Not taking it seriously. There's no hot debates or rants or anything like that. It's just pure fun, enjoying conspiracy theory as it is. But other than that, any of you guys want to make some final comments before I put the outro up?
Yeah, what an epic 2-hour episode.
Whew, I know, right? Let's put ourselves over real quick. Think about this. We had Jon Del Arroz on here. We had Tim Lim on here, and we got Chester to rant so bad he started cussing. This was a good episode, guys.
Did I
Edwin,
cuss?
don't forget Edwin Boyette giving us a little shout out.
Yeah, we had a little Edwin Boyette, and we have, in my opinion, and this is coming from me, the best mod in YouTube. Crypto Comics showed up to pimp out our books for us. We had Booster in the chat being Booster. We got George here being awesome. I mean, this is a great show. What more do you want?
I've been picking my nose all this time. Just thought I'd tell you.
Thanks, George. Did I cuss? Did I really cuss?
A little bit. You went a little off the rails there.
Fine. Oh, well.
Chairman address,
it's
right?
It's just my temperament. I can't help it. Anyway, guys, thank you very much, and we will certainly see you later. Would someone like to give a word of wisdom? We don't have Denali today to do that. Any words of wisdom from somebody?
Yes. Or Thundaro?
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I think I've given my words of wisdom.
Go ahead, DeWolf.
We approach this world in many different ways, and we keep looking at problems with telescopes, trying to find those things that are far off and bringing them closer. And we also try to use microscopes so that we can find those problems that are just small, but think they're bigger in other people. And as we go through this day and we're perceiving things, sometimes we should use a mirror and look at ourselves. Hang on to what I said, at the beginning of the show, it all lies within us. Our perception does indeed change our reality. Make it a good one.
Namaste. I was kind of expecting a limerick. Oh, well. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later.
Flat Earth is round. Ah!
All right, outro. This is FanSpeak, a weekly live show where the fans of comics and its community are our guests.